All right, so for this tutorial, basically what I'm going to do is we're going to make this game, just a match game, very simple, straightforward. You can see how this will actually be useful for when we develop our educational stuff. So you have a start and a quit. If I hit start, it starts the game, and then basically the way it works is that I click, and if they don't match, they go away, right? So, but if they do match, they stay. And you can see it keeps count here, right? Got a match. And nope, there we go. This one. There we go. So I got the game, so I won, and then I'll just hit quit, and it quits the game. All right, so that's the basic. That's what we're making. Pretty straightforward. And it mostly just uses actually the UI, so it's relatively simple. First thing you're gonna want to do actually is go to the site under page the class 4, and if you scroll down, this is going to be a little more updated down to the bottom here. You can see that you can download the background asset here and the card asset here. So basically you're just going to click on this, and I should have made it pop up to a new window. I did not. And just click on that and save the file. That's fine. And I'm just going to back this up, and then card assets, I'm going to click there. And right here, again, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to save the zip and save that. Okay. That's the first thing you want to do. It's basically underneath the simple game creation, which is where this tutorial is going to be eventually. You're going to want to download those two things, okay, because we're going to need those in order to create our stuff. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. I already did that. I just do File, New Project, and then just browse to the desktop, make a folder, new folder, and name it match game. Okay. And then just hit select folder, and then you'll just hit create. I already made that, so I don't need to do that, but you would want to do that. Okay. Then what we're going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and create some folders. Create folder, and we'll do a scenes folder because we need that to save our scenes. Create folder, and we're going to need a scripts folder. And create folder, and we're going to need our sprites folder. So sprites are just 2D images. They're called sprites when you do game design. You'll see later on why. Good. So those are the 3 main folders I think that we need. I can't remember if we need any other ones, but that should be good to start with. So we did that. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. I'm just going to do Control S, or you go to File, Save Scene, and I'm just going to Scenes, and we're just going to name this one Main. Okay, so usually what you do is your opening sequence, just like index is the main page, the home page. Main is usually what you call your main thing. Okay, so we save it right underneath there, so that way it's saved, and this way I can just hit Control S real quick to save it right off the bat. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my sprites, okay? So I downloaded those. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to open up my folders here, and I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to look. Okay, so I got Board Game Pack, and I'm going to go ahead and just extract all. Extract. And it's going to extract that, and I should have a background. There it is, just the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my match game assets. This is where we made the folders. This is where all the stuff that we create goes. I'm going to go to my scenes. All right. And sorry, not scenes. I'm going to go to my sprites, and I'm going to drop my background in there. And then I'm going to go to the PNG cards, and I have a bunch of them here. You can choose what colors you want to use. For now, let's just go ahead and grab all of them. So I'm just going to drag this cards folder right into here. Voila. Now, that's all good. So now my artwork is in there. And you're going to see it's going to take a second for this thing to load it in while it tries to put that in there. So I'm going to pause it while it does. And so now you'll see is we have these cards, and we also have this background. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to I don't think I really need to do too much with that actually. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go to UI, and I'm going to import an image. Okay, we're going to use the UI to basically as our canvas for our assets. So for the source images, I'm just going to drop and drag this onto, let's try that again. Alright, asset scene. So one of the things that happened that I think is kind of weird is if you look at, see how it says texture type texture? That's actually not what we want. It needs to be sprite and 2D and UI. That's why when I was trying to drop it on there, it wasn't working. So now, and we have to hit apply. So basically when you adjust things in here, this is how it's being imported. So now, if I take this, I can drop it in there. Let's see. And I will select that, double click, and voila. So now that is, I'll click on game so you can see it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do set native size. That will change the size here. And I'm going to go to canvas, and we are going to change some of the options here. We'll click on pixel perfect, UI. Let's do scale with screen size. And I am going to change, we're going to make, 16 times what we want. So, and I'm going to go ahead and make this 640 by 360. Beauteous. I'm going to go to my image here, and you can see it's got some, I got to zero these out. Okay, so it's the image underneath the canvas. That way it will make it the size that we need, because it was set off of canvas. So I'm just going to double check and make sure I got everything else on here. 640 by 360 basically makes it the same resolution, 69 by resolution. And that looks fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the image here, and I already switched set native size. This all looks fine. So I'm going to leave that like it is, and that is good. I'm just going to change this to background so that I know what it is. Good. All right. So that is looking pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the menu up in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my canvas selected. I'm going to go game object, and I'm going to go ahead and go to UI, and I'm going to do text. Okay. And I'm going to put this as the title is what we're going to name it. Make sure you hit enter. If you don't hit enter, it doesn't like execute it. And then we're just going to call this whatever you want to name it, but I'm going to call it matching game. Pretty exciting stuff. All right. I'm going to zero this out, and I'm going to zero this out, which will put it kind of right in the center of the screen. Click on this, and this will determine what the anchor is. If I hold Alt and Shift, it will move both the pivot and also the position. And I want to go to the top center. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, from the top, I'm going to type in, oops, sorry, minus 50, because I got to go down. So down 50. You can also just click and drag, and it will let you adjust it that way as well. Matching game, that's good. We'll leave it like that. I'm going to go ahead and go bold. And I'm going to change this to 32. Now what you're going to notice is, I can't see it. And that's because if you look, my height is 30. If my height 32, it's only going to work. I'm just going to go 50. Gives me enough room just to make sure. Okay. 160 seems to be enough. No, it's not enough. Sorry. So let's go ahead and do 300. So let's try that again. 300. There we go. So yay. That gives me enough spot there. Just going to scroll down here, and I'm going to make sure it's centered in my center line, and also up and down on the vertical and the horizontal. I'm going to change the color to white. And then the other thing I'm going to do is just a nice little added thing is that you have to search for it. But look up shadow. It's like a special script. And you can see it as a shadow. And I could adjust these settings, but I'm kind of okay with that. It's enough to give it a little bit of a oomph. So that is good. All right. Goody. So that looks pretty good. The next thing I'm going to want to do is create my buttons. Basically a start button and a quit button. So again, I'm going to select the top here, game object, and UI, and a button. And we're going to zero this out, zero that out. Button looks fine. I'm going to leave it where it's pinned currently. That's fine. I'm just going to call it the start button. Okay. And that looks okay, I think. I'm just going to go to the text here and just write start. Okay. And that looks kind of okay to me. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this, Control D. So just select it and hit Control D, or Command D if you're using a Mac. And this one's not going to be start. This one's going to be the quit button. Quit button. Hit enter. And I'm going to go to the text that's inside the button and just go ahead and make it quit. All right. Oops. And good. The other thing I need to do with this is I'm going to go to the button and I'm going to change the position to below it. So, I don't know. We'll say -50. Hooray. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save this again. Command S. And you can see we have both these things going. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually make the code that's going to allow us to load the level or quit the game. And this is actually relatively simple. So, I'm going to go ahead and just right-click, create JavaScript. We're going to work in JavaScript just because it's a little bit simpler. And this is just going to be called menu controller. Actually, let's call it menu script. That's a little bit easier. So menu script. And I'm going to drop that into the scripts folder. Try to keep things organized. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an empty object in here, create empty. And we're just going to call this the menu controller. All right. So it's just an empty object. We're just making it to hold this script. So I'm going to go to the menu controller, drop it on there, and you can see there it is. Okay. Hooray. Now, the script itself has almost nothing in it, so we need to change that. So I'm going to double click on it, and it'll automatically open up my preferred editor. There are other options as well. And I'm just going to get rid of the start and the other function. I'm just going to make my own. So I'm going to do a function, and I'm going to call it quit game. And there's going to be no parameters for it. And all this is going to do is going to have one action. It's going to be application dot quit. And I am sending it no arguments. Good. And then we're going to make another function. And it's going to be start game. All right. These are just the names that I'm creating for it. And this function is going to load a level. So it's going to be application dot load level. And it's going to be the level we're going to load is going to be called level. That's what we're going to name it eventually. Right now it doesn't really have, that doesn't really exist, but all right. So basically we have two functions in here that we created. One is to quit, and that's just this built-in function here, and one is to load the level. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Make sure you hit Command S or Control S. Hooray. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my start button here, and I'm going to say, okay, when on click, I want you to, on the script that's attached to this menu controller, which is the menu script, the one I want. This is what, start button. I want you to start game. Bam. I'm going to go to this one, click on that, and again, it's going to be attached to this, and it's again menu script, and it's going to be quit game. So that one starts, and that one quits. All right. And then we can save that, and we are pretty good. So the next thing to do is actually make the next scene. So just make sure you do save scene. And then we're going to just do file new scene, and we have a new scene. I'm going to go ahead and save this, Control Shift S, or you just do file save scene as, and we're going to name this one level, which if you remember, that's what's going to load when you click on start game. So now if I were to open up by just double clicking on main, and if I were to play this, if I click on start, oh, it's not part of the build. I'd have to go to file. Well, we'll do it in the next thing, but it's almost there. So we're looking pretty good. We got the first quit and start done, and so that's good because you want to be able to quit and you want to be able to start the game. So the next one I'll be moving a little bit slower so that you can get a little bit more, but I just want to get this first thing out of the way. Looks good.